We got rows in different area codes. We're all in training. Right now, there is multiple wars being waged. Cultural wars, psychological wars, economic wars, weather warfare. So listen, all this sand is going in these bags. These bags are gonna hold down the row covers. And we know we got wind coming along with the cold. We also got rain coming along with the cold, which might mean that we get some snow or some ice on these covers. So think about this. This is something to consider. Right now, the United States Pentagon is ready to spend $700 million on these new war bomb raider planes that they've been developing over the last 30 years. And they want to send those planes into areas of conflict like Russia, Ukraine, China. All this stuff is happening while we as farmers are looking for the funds to buy row covers, sandbags, and spines to cover up food that we have started in grow houses and greenhouses, started by seed that we've saved to feed people that we care about, ourselves included. How are resources being allocated and used in this country, in your nation, while warfare is being promoted? Many of these broccolis and collards have gone through some of the hard stuff, but nothing as low as the degrees that we're talking about: 15 degrees, 12 degrees, 8 degrees. So we will cover these and do the best we can to ensure survival and a harvest. Well, as the local suppliers, we're out here today and we're gonna be laying down more row cover to cover up carrots that have just begun to sprout, leeks that have begun to sprout, beets that have begun to sprout, cabbages that are in the ground, collard greens, broccoli that are in the ground. Broccoli, they say at 24 degrees is no more. Cabbages, kales, some of those they say at 15 degrees, no more. So we're gonna cover them and we're gonna hope for the best. But every one of you who's a market goer, a farmer's market customer, be understanding, broaden your scope of reality, and become aware of what's actually happening in the local food system. For us to make sure that we're able to supply you means that we have got to have tools, equipment, supplies, and materials to address changes in climate that come quickly and unannounced. And when we address these, after we do the best that we can do by setting in the spines, rolling out the fabric and dropping the sandbags to keep things down and try to heat things up a few degrees from the soil temperatures, then we have to just cross our fingers, do our meditation, and pray. There's a lot of seeds out here. There's a lot of garlic, a lot of leeks, a lot of onions, a lot of beets, a lot of turnips, radishes, carrots. And we don't know how much of it's going to survive. You who support us on Patreon, we're deeply grateful. That Patreon support funding is going to be so much more important as we move into January and February of next year. And food is only as stable as the farmers are stable. So right now we're stable, and we're going to take the time to be with our family and write, read, study, plan, because after the winter comes the spring. This is what it feels like to lose a lot of your work. Inside the grow house, we have sproutage. We've been averaging high temperatures like in the 90s inside here, lows in like 18, 20 range.
People have often questioned why we grow cilantro in the winter time, because they think of it as a warm weather crop, but it's more hardy than the parsley that we had out here. I mean, these plants definitely got burned. You can see those tinges of purple, but they look great, and in a couple weeks they're going to be ready for harvest again. They still got their sheen.
You know that right now there's wars going on all over the planet, and in America we're spending against our will. Our government has decided to spend multi-billion dollars on weapons to send to other countries. And when that happens, most of us, we're still staying here in the United States. We're staying in our living rooms, we're staying in our cars, we're staying at the mall, we're staying at restaurants, we're staying at our friend's house. We're not having to go out into the fields where there's dead bodies. And I'll say right now, it smells funny out here, and this is just dead plants. And it smells funny out here because these plants were growing full of plant and sun energy and solar energy and chlorophyll. They then froze, and now they're just, you know what cooking broccoli smells like. Imagine dead wilted broccoli where all the life force energy has come out of the plant, tried to retreat to the root to live, went to the root and still died. We do have some successes. We have some kale that is successful. And when people ask us why we save seed, this is exactly why we save seed. This is an Alabama blue collard that we've been saving for, golly, I think since about 2014, 2015. We covered it, and it survived better than a lot of things. There are plenty of them that got hit, but there's plenty of them that survived. We'll have them as the season rolls on, and this gives us some protection. The other thing to think about is that when we're talking about a local food system, if you look around, this is a system. And there's parts of it that we're in control of and parts that we're not in control of. And we did the best we could. We are grateful to everybody who's already sent in some support for us. We plan on using it to get another one of these tunnels up. Getting another tunnel up will help us for this year and for next year. And it helps secure some season extension, some weather protection. So many of the issues that we've been facing over the years as landless farmers, we've addressed in a lot of different ways. Seed variety is one of the ways that we have addressed that. For years, we've been growing the Savoy cabbage. We love how it looks, but now we're finding out that it's super cold tolerant. So there's things that we're gonna work on developing a lot more of. We were surprised by cilantro's resilience. So we got cilantro that is growing, radicchio that's growing, kale that's growing, nativized collards that are still growing, cabbage, Savoy cabbage that's still growing, some carrots that have sprouted. We're gonna see what happens with the garlics and the leeks and the onions as it warms up. But know that more extreme weather is coming, not only for us, but across the nation. A lot of wetness, a lot of cold and warm weather kind of combining, which can lead to tornadoes, it can lead to a lot of different things. So we're gonna continue to do what we have to do to grow this food, and we're gonna continue to be reaching out to you all in gratitude and for more support as we really take this change serious. Local food, local systems, grow where you are.
The first night, it had gotten down to maybe 14, 15 degrees, and the covers blew off of most of the beds, and so stuff got hit pretty hard. And then Eugene came out and was covering the crops. That's been something that we've dealt with for years, is because we commute to where we're farming, there's certain things we just can't always control because we can't get out here in time. But these radicchios did so well. You can't really even tell that they went through the frost like that. They're starting to form heads, which, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for. But you can see anywhere where the covers blew off again, they got pretty damaged. Certain things, even that were covered though, just couldn't handle it. Like, this is what romaine looks like after it goes through 8 degrees. The soil loves this type of temperature change. Winter does something great inside the soil. Energy retreats down into the ground, and the forces, they combine. You can already see the soil starting to look incredible just after that intense 5 days of freezing, hard frozen ground. We have seedlings in the greenhouse that we were able to protect. We used water to insulate. We had a couple heat mats, and I'm gonna start planting more in the greenhouse, and we're just gonna make a solid plan. Half of the covers we have are the highest strength fleece, and I mean, if you can keep them on, they do make a big difference, because even with some of
Welcome to the killing fields, y'all. So this was purple cabbage, and then we had broccolis that died in place. Some of them a little bit more extreme. As you can see, the root there and the plant there. Come take a look at this soil. This is the interesting benefit of that frost, is that soil has been freeze dried. The freeze went all the way down. It followed the moisture down into the soil. It crystallized it. It broke apart when it thawed out. And then it just shreds the organic matter that was inside of these beds, or literally laid on top of these beds. It shreds all of that organic matter. And now it's like a powder that we can plant into that's rich. It's got the minerals that are from the clay that are now accessible, bioavailable. And it's got the organic matter on top. So we're doing a simple chop up along the side of the beds. We'll come and pull out some of the roots that are in. Some of the roots, we'll just let them die in space, in place. Return those sugars and microbes back into the ground. And then we're gonna plant them up again. We'll cover them with these row covers and see what happens in January and February. Look at all these mustards right here. This is what it looks like. I can't even tell you what it feels like or what it smells like, but this is hours of effort, prepping the beds, planting the beds, weeding the beds, hours of effort, and the soil took the harvest. The soil demanded all of the nutrients, all of the microorganisms, all of the mineral content. The soil took the harvest. It took the carrots, it took the radishes, it took the beets, it took the collards, it took the kale, it took the broccoli, and all of this organic matter is now gonna be composted, and some of it just gonna die into the bed. We're learning a lot, y'all. As you can see, when you look at these purple cabbages, here's the row cover. After the first night of cold weather, I came out here and the row cover had partially blown off, and this section here was still on the bed. And also we have more tree cover over here, so the wind didn't come through in the same way. And so the plants that got hit with that initial cold weather wilted. These were still covered. I came back out and covered the rest of the bed, but the only ones that lived were the ones that didn't go through that initial shock. We'll see how much they will mature.
are plants that we started right when we knew that we were going to be building this grow tunnel. We've got beets here, and we have romaine down there, which are cool season crops, but they do tend to be tender. So normally in Georgia, we will get down into the teens during the winter. Not often, maybe 2 or 3 times. And plants like beets, lettuces, chards, some of the more tender cool weather crops will get some damage. So we started these knowing that we were building this. We're getting these in. Thankfully they were ready, and we very much so need to be planting right now after losing everything in the field. Out in the field though, we're gonna try again, and these are some crops that did get killed back from the 6-degree weather. We're planning on the temperature probably getting back down to 14 again, as normally happens January, February, maybe once or twice more. We're gonna put in carrots, parsnips, parsley. We're also gonna be putting more arugula under tunnels, peas, gonna continue to plant beets and more lettuces. We'll be building 2 more tunnels in preparation for putting in more of these tender greens.
So just a quick recap for you folks. It got down to single digits earlier, or at the end of the year, I should say. Happy 2023. So at the end of 2022, it got down to single digits. We covered as much as we could. This bed happened to stay pretty covered. And look at this cilantro. Cilantro growing well in January, growing well. So we're learning. We're learning every year.
We replanted a whole row of carrots here, and they haven't sprouted yet. We're gonna let them get this rain tomorrow and then cover them back up.
This thing says that the high in here is 93, 91, and the low in here is 32. We left slight openings at the bottom of these last night. You can see that we got really good germination coming. There's spinach, there's peas, there's parsley, there's dill, there's beets, there's Romanesco. And then I think this is romaine lettuce. So this house gave us the opportunity to sprout things during that frost. So we had this deep freeze happen, killed a lot of the things outside. We had already finished making the beds here, planted them, kept it sealed. None of the plastic got blown off, thank God, and we got sproutage. So let's see what's happening outside. These beds, because of the water that came off the grow house, the water came through here real intense and flooded a lot of stuff. The good thing to know is that we actually have had some success with some plants that are living in the larger field up top.